Hi.
My name's JC McCauley.
I'm Naisha McCauley, and you're watching AccessTV.org.
Good morning. First of all, I want to thank the press for coming out today and covering this. My name is Cynthia Jennings. I'm a civil rights attorney, and I'm also representing Paul West and have represented him for several years. What we're considering this to be is an act of retaliation and an act to get rid of Paul West. The bottom line is this whole situation started with Paul West reporting to the Chiefs Complex a civil rights sexual harassment complaint from a member of the LGBT community. Once he reported that complaint, everything broke loose. They went after him tooth and nail to destroy his reputation and have him terminated from the police department for, I think, about 23 years. And Paul has been with the department 23 years. But in over 20 years, he had no disciplinary record whatsoever until he filed a complaint on behalf of Kelly Baerga, who is also a member of the Hartford Police Department, who is an openly gay and female of the Latino community. And so once he filed that complaint with the chief, everyone went after Paul in order to fire him. We have a case in the Second Circuit Court of Appeals in New York over this matter. We have a case we have a federal case in Connecticut over this same instance. And we've got now multiple civil rights complaints set up already based on the fact that Chief Jason Thody and his crew have gone after Paul West. It all started initially with Jason Thody taking advantage of the fact that Paul West had filed this complaint, and he went after him and attempted to have him terminated from his job, excuse me, so that Jason Thody at the time could be appointed to the position of deputy chief. And from that position, he was ultimately appointed as chief. Now Jason Thody has announced that he is leaving the department, but he's going to take Paul West with him. As early as this morning, Paul West called me and told me that people were telling him goodbye and saying that they heard he was going to be terminated today. This is not something that is based on anything other than Paul West and his capability and the fact that he has one of the most impeccable records of anyone in the department, and also one of the best educational background histories. He's been through FBI training, he's been through all kinds of training, and Paul West is also, he's the person that we need for the job. We had a federal consent decree against the department of the Hartford Police Department that went for more than 48 years. And the only thing that it was saying in that consent decree is that the department should reflect the demographics of the people that it serves. That includes women, that includes blacks, that includes whites, that includes members of the LGBT community. We are a community, and we should reflect the residents, reflect the community that it serves. So that's my opening statement. I will be happy. I'm so happy to have the media here. I'm so happy to have members of the community here that are concerned about Paul West and his termination, or his pending termination, let me put it that way. I think that it's very important that we recognize that when we have a case of this nature, such a substantial civil rights case, that we take into consideration that we need leadership in this department. We need to end the death rate that we're facing in this city. We need our young people to know that if they grow up in Hartford, their parents pay taxes in Hartford, they too can be Hartford police officers. Right now, I believe it's 95% of the people that work here don't live here. We are under occupation as a police department if we have people that believe that their job is to arrest as opposed to protect and serve. And that's what the job of the police chief is, and the police department. So the tone of the department, the culture of the department has not been a culture that's been a culture that people are happy with. 2 years ago, the women were taking a statement that women do not feel safe with the Hartford Police Department and working in the Hartford Police Department. That is a problem when people are working in the department and do not feel safe working for the department. So when we talk about what we have to do next, we have to provide leadership in this city We have to provide leadership in this department in particular. This department affects many lives. When you look at the disparity between the people who are arrested and the sentences that they serve and the charges that they're faced with based on if they had been white and male, it's unacceptable. And I thank everyone for coming out. I thank those who are with us in the position that it's important that we take a position and a stand for civil rights for all people, and that we recognize that we are not just a community. This state is a community. This city is a community, and that we all need to get together and work together in support of people that have been leaders in this community, and Paul West has been that leader. So thank you. I think we'll have anyone else who wants to speak now, and you can ask questions later as well. Okay, I think Ivelisse. Tell who you are.
Okay. My name is Ivelisse Correa. I'm Vice President of BLM 860 and Executive Director of Good Trouble Advocates. I'm here because generally we're an organization that protests against police, for the abolishment of police, and for defunding. We are here today in defense of Paul West. Paul West is being targeted for actually standing up and doing what police departments claim that they want. They want transparency. They want people to stand up for the marginalized. They want to get rid of those bad apples. Yet the bad apple received a 35-day suspension, and 5 years after this incident, Paul West is still being targeted over and over and over. Paul West reported his harassment. Paul West reported Kelly Bayega's harassment. Instead, he's being accused now of something that has been done to... You know what? Let me back up a second. So, for the past couple years, I have noticed that black scholars have been accused of plagiarism over and over and over. It seems like we can't have black intellectuals anymore, and Paul West is being accused of perjury for his, or not perjury, I'm sorry, plagiarism, thank you, I'm upset. So Paul West is being accused of plagiarism while working for his master's degree. I don't know of any other sort of circumstance where someone would personally call UConn to find out whether or not there's been a student committing plagiarism. What type of dirt are they digging up? What are they looking for at this point? You called the man's professors, you called the man's schools. It's tiring. Every time there's someone of color who wants to actually do the job correctly, they're attacked. Their credentials are attacked. He can't be this intelligent. He can't be this moral. We're sick of it. I'm tired of getting puppets for the city. My tax dollars are supporting puppets. So, I really hope that the community does stand together. We're hoping that people contact the mayor. The mayor does have a lot he can do right now. He can cancel this entire thing. He can appoint him as chief. The chief is on his way out. Why is something not being done? This has been ongoing for years. This is now spanning, 2 mayors? And we're kind of tired of everyone attempting to pass the buck. We have a new mayor, so what's happening now? So thank you very much for coming out. Sorry that I got upset, but why isn't that a black man just can't be an intellectual?
Okay, we have Eula Dotson.
Okay, my name is Eula Dotson. I've grown up in Hartford my entire life. And there's no justice, there's no peace. And we've been fighting this battle. I'm one of the kids from the 60s that took over administration buildings because of injustice. And we're back again. I mean, this is a struggle. And unfortunately, people need to stop looking at TikTok and realize what's happening in their community. That you should be able to go to be a police officer and move up the ranks. Because it's a sad situation when people who don't look like us are in control of us. That we as a community need to come together. If the person is qualified with the right credentials and the right service, you should be able to move up. But if you have a voice and you speak up, you are always under suspicion. Everything you do is always analyzed. Where someone else who's not from our community, who's not interested in what's happening here, can come in, get a great pension, and go back to suburbia. That we should be able to work together as a community to police. Like Cynthia said, this is supposed to be serving the community, not policing to a point where it's like apartheid. That we need to get with the program, because when there's no justice in your community, there's no justice in other communities. So we need to come together and speak up, because we are the voice. Maybe Paul Lewis can't speak up, but we should Paul West, excuse me, but we should be the ones to speak on his behalf. We just elected a new mayor. The mayor should be speaking up. If the community wants this man to be the chief, then that's what should happen. Because we just voted for you last November. Keep your promise.
Thank you. Excuse me. I also wanted to add that Paul West is being faced with trumped-up charges. We have filed a defamation claim against the person who's communicating and colluding with the chief of police at this point to bring charges that are untrue against Paul West. So when you talk about trumped up, Paul West has a history of a wonderful educational history. He got letters from the University of Connecticut and other institutions that he's actually been before, and he has been nothing but an honor student and able and fully capable of doing all the work that he's been involved in. So when you talk about someone being allowed to bring up trumped-up charges, why did we file a defamation claim against Tiffany Wilson for lying on Paul West? She not only lied on Paul West, but she told untruths in the investigative report. And because of that, my position is this. If someone is untruthful and they work in a position as important as police chief or police officer or police sergeant, which she works in, then they should not be allowed, number one, to continue to work for this city. Number two, when you lie in an investigative report, that should not be allowed. Number three, when you damage property and you run into a guardrail and you walk away and don't report an offense as the chief did, then you should not be allowed to be chief. You just committed a felony. In this state, John Rowland can't collect a pension because of his felonies that he committed. So why is anyone else allowed to take money from the poorest city in the state of Connecticut, the taxpayers in this city, and earn a lifelong wealthy pension? And when they lie, cheat, steal, and do things that are unacceptable. In a police report, we have to recognize that these reports are used to determine people's lives and livelihood. They're used to either stop people that are working and living in this city and change them, make it so that they are not able to be hired in this city. As far as I'm concerned, I think that all the stops should be pulled out. There should be a full investigation, and that there should be oversight over the Hartford Police Department from this day forward. No one should be allowed to fire someone on trumped-up charges, knowing that a defamation claim has been filed against them, knowing that the untruths have been told in the investigative process, but it's still okay for you to fire someone. Then why are you earning a pension at all? John Rowland can't earn a pension, and he was governor. So if you lie in an administrative report, you should not be able to earn a pension either. And I thank you all for coming out. No one here would ever think about having to, getting fired from their jobs for trumped-up charges, and the person that they fired has never been investigated. So I'm calling for a full investigation into all the activities of the police department relative to the termination and the retaliation against Paul West. Thank you. Hold on, I think Richard Prince is here.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Thank you for coming. My name is Richard Prince. I want to thank Black Lives Matter, Ivelisse, Tracy Funny. It's always out here. I'm Sheila Dotson, a long-time community organizer and activist and advocate for the youth. Attorney Cynthia Jennings, who is, as you know, Paul West, representative and community activist, and we've been working together for about a year or so, year and a half now, for the sewage overflows. This young lady right here, how are you? Good. Thank you. Well, this right here, as I heard everyone else speak, this is about the discrimination and the retaliation against Lieutenant Paul West. As some of you may know, there is a pending federal lawsuit that's up at the Second Circuit Court right now that really spells out a lot of the issues and the ills that have been going on, specifically here in the Hartford Police Department. I know he is approaching it internally, but it is spilled out into the community. Just last week there was a report about the demographics in the police department. You have 63% of the police officers white. You have 85% of the police officers male. And you have 95%, I believe it's 95% of the officers who do not live in Hartford. So you have an issue where you have a force here that does not represent the community. You also have a police force that can be easily weaponized whenever a black or brown woman, I'm gonna say woman specifically, speaks out about what is happening in the police force or any other entity in the city of Hartford. So that is, Paul has definitely been victimized. Paul is set up or really wants to be the next chief. He has earned it. He is a great representative for us in the black community. Paul is educated. Paul has gone on to receive advanced degrees, 2 advanced degrees from the University of Hartford, and instead of embracing that and allowing that to be a catalyst for the young men who are out there with no direction, or the young women too, it is used against him. So, I just want you to really focus on the dynamics and the demographics of the police department and why this is happening. I know you've also heard report that Paul stood up for Sergeant Viagra, a known and self-professed gay woman. So that was one of the first issues that they started targeting Paul. It's got to the point to where he is now being labeled. And even if you are of that sexual persuasion, there are federal laws prohibited against them focusing on you because of your sexuality. But this has become a matter of sex, in my opinion. Sex and sexuality, instead of looking at the real issue, which is they're retaliating against Paul because Paul gets out there and speaks out for the community, for the people, and it really needs to stop. There should be no reason whatsoever that Paul is sitting somewhere waiting for a notice from Chief Doty, who, in my opinion, should have been terminated. He has a list of discretions, from barroom brawls, 6, 7, 8 drinks, to crashing up a police car, and then there's never any real consequences, and it is my opinion because he's white. Because if you were a black police officer, you wouldn't have had a second chance. So these are the real issues that are going on. We want more people to come and speak out because we need to speak out for our black leaders and Hispanic leaders who actually reach a certain plateau, because you only get so far in Hartford, Connecticut. As far as that, from here, this police department or in City Hall, the blacks there, they only get so far because they're controlled by a system, and you can't get out of line. If you get out of line, you are ostracized, you are demonized, you are victimized, and you're definitely terrorized. So I'm hoping that this helps out Lieutenant Paul West, because he should not be fired because somebody made up a story about the dog ate the homework and they had to help him make his grade. And that literally is what this story is about. It's so juvenile. And for it to get to this point, to where this man of 22 years of great service is being fired because somebody said they helped you do your homework, that's what study groups are for. They, you know, so I mean, just think about the charge. So I appreciate everybody else for coming. Thank you very much. Okay, I think a couple people want to.
I wanted to thank the president and then thank you.
Yeah, I want to talk.
All right.
Roll call thing.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Cynthia Jennings again, Paul West's civil rights attorney, and have known him for years. One of the things that we're faced with right now is that there was a hearing scheduled for 10 o'clock this morning in this building in the Chiefs Complex. There was an agreement that you can waive to come to the hearing and they will make the decision on the papers. That is what has happened now. So there is no hearing. Paul West has waived this morning or late last night his right to come to the hearing because there is no oversight of the chief. All the lies that have been told are going to be brought in. There's been this morning he got a call from someone telling him goodbye. They, you know, that because they heard he was going to be terminated. There is no oversight of the chief of police in the city of Hartford. So there should be oversight over their pension and whether or not they're allowed to continue to defame and disrespect people that are in this city. And I think that there were other people who wanted to speak. I know Evelise wanted to speak about a roll call, so you can wait. Well, she had something she wanted to say.
Something I forgot to mention, and I do apologize. So BLM 860 attended a roll call back in 2020. We were invited by a white police officer. There were no problems. It was 2 former board members. They came back and gave us information. In 2024, there were no current board members that had attended the roll call. We attended with Paul West. We were able to see what trainings Hartford police officers or what trainings are conducted before police officers hit the streets, what their mentalities are, and we got to see a little bit of their world and ask questions. And roll calls have always been open to the public. However, shortly after we attended the roll call with Paul West, I want to say within 48 hours, department policy had changed. Everyone except Paul West received the email within Hartford Police Department advising that the policy had changed and now you must receive permission all the way up the chain of command in order to attend a roll call. There was no reasoning given, and I believe he may have been spoken to about that incident. He didn't want to tell us much, but we were able from our sources to find out, and this is available via FOIA. Paul West did not receive the email, and department policy changed within 48 hours. So we just wanted to let the public know that we were witness to Paul West being targeted administratively. So this isn't just a one-off with homework. This is every time he breathes. It seems like they're targeting him for something. They move goalposts, and it's amazing to see what they've gotten away with. So we're hoping that people start asking more questions, and we're hopeful that the new mayor does do something about this. We don't know if it's going to help having a mayor of color, but we're hoping that he takes a look from our perspective. We want someone as a police chief who comes from where we come from, someone who knows what it's like to get targeted, because he's experiencing that right now. We experience that every day. So, thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who wants to speak? Because it looks like the rain held off long enough. So, please, if you have something to say, step forward. Thank you very much. Are there any questions from the media?
Is there an oversight board at all on the Hartford Police Department like there is in New Haven?
No, we have this matter that they're doing. They took it through internal affairs. There's no oversight of the internal affairs office or division, and there is no oversight over the police. We don't have a police commissioner. We don't have a police commission. So no, there's no oversight over the police. The oversight over the police in this matter is the mayor. He appoints the police chief, and he can disappoint the police chief, like the police chief has disappointed us.
So how hard is it legally to say if you want to be a Hartford police officer that you have to reside in the city? Like legally, how can you do that?
Okay, so that has been, it used to be that police officers had to reside in the city. Right now, we're in a situation where 95% of the people who work here don't live here. So it's easier for people who don't live here to get a job as police officers than people who live here and grow up here. But the bottom line is that what we want is, when Paul West was the first recruitment the first commander of recruitment, Paul West had an 80% increase in the number of people from Hartford that actually came forward to take the police exam. He set up programs where they could get physical therapy if they were physical assistants running the track over at Hartford High. He set up programs to make sure that they had support and how to take the written exam, and it was open to everyone. It was not just open to Hartford residents. So he set up programs where there was an 80% increase in Hartford residents. With that, we would not have needed a consent decree. But Chief Thody made it his business to go after and talk about having the consent decree that required that the demographics of the police department reflect the people that it serves, having that consent decree removed, and he campaigned publicly for it. Are there any guests? You had a question.
Is there any truth to the, from what I understand, one of the panelists is also in contention to be the next chief, and do you think that's kind of fair?
Okay, yes, absolutely. I think Chief Howell, who's a deputy chief, is also in contention to become the next police chief. He's been one of the 3 judges on the internal affairs hearing that is going to determine whether or not Paul West becomes police chief. That is absolutely unacceptable. And he should have recused himself, but he did not. So he should have been recused. Thank you. Are there any other questions that the press might have?
So, Cynthia, what is the next step?
Okay, well, the next step is that the hearing that was supposed to take place today will be made on the papers that have already been presented and the trumped up charges that they've already supported. And we expect that Jason Thody will be terminating Paul West as soon as he makes the decision. There's no time frame that requires that he report within a certain period of time. So it's a very stressful situation for those who support Paul as well as Paul West himself as to having no outside term. He could decide today Paul West is no longer working for this department. And if he can decide today, then it should be also decided today that he won't get a pension, and neither will anyone else who lied in these investigative hearings. Okay.
I have a comment. I think it's probably the most relevant here. In this city here that is predominantly black and brown, you see who is here standing out representing Paul West, again, the highest ranking African American police officer in this building. Where are the leaders? That's the question. Where are the black leaders? Where are the Latino leaders? And that's something that I want everybody to ask themselves. When November comes, they're out there, they're in every district, trying to get you to elect a certain body of people. But here we are today. You see who's here, and it's really all women. Where are the black male leaders who should be here representing the highest ranking black male police officer? That's a question that we all need to ask ourselves. Thank you. Thanks for coming.
Thank you very much. I want to thank the press for coming. I want to thank everyone who came out in support of Paul West. And I urge that you read what's going on in this city regarding what's happening with the case of Paul West. Because in terms of Whether or not he's selected as the next chief is not it's not the chief's call. It is literally the mayor's call. So we're urging the mayor to make the right decision. We have a right to peacefully redress our government. I support constitutional rights, and I support our government. The people that are here are redressing our government and the way it's being operated. And because of that, they should never be targeted. But there's no guarantee that people who are in our community with guns will not target us. When I was on Hartford City Council, somebody came to my house and they said, "Cynthia, your window is broken." I said, my window's not broken, those are gunshots. People come by my house regularly and terrorized me when I was working on City Council. So it doesn't mean this is a situation where you're talking about people who actually run the city with their, and run what goes on in our communities. So when you're talking about that, we want people to have justice and love and concern about their families and making sure that these people are not being unfairly and unjustly treated in the way that they're in the way that they're arrested, the way that their children are treated in the schools. So we're looking for someone and we're looking for Paul West to be the next chief because his mother was born in Bellevue Square. His grandmother he grew up with his grandmother who was in Nelton Court. I mean, he's part of this community. He knows what the people in this community support him and love him and are actually looking for him to be the next chief. I don't think that decision should be made by an outgoing chief. Thank you.
Hello, everybody. Thank y'all for attending the support of Paul West. My name is Tracy Funny. I wasn't going to say anything, but this is a serious problem along with everything else that's going on in our city. Individuals y'all elected Arunin, where the hell is he? This is very important. He should be here. He's over the police department. What's going on, people? Y'all need to start showing up for y'all community. Y'all need to start showing up for individuals in need of everyone's support. Paul West, I've just met him over my campaign little trail running for mayor for the city. Where is Arunin? This is where he should be, not somewhere cutting ribbons or anything else for that nature. Arunin needs to be right here speaking on what's going on with Paul West. All right, so with everyone out here, I hope everyone after this conference start pulling together for everything that's wrong with the city. Okay? And that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you. And with that, we will conclude. Excuse me. I will say that Paul West there's never been a situation in the city of Hartford where we've had such broad-based support for one person to be our police chief. And I think that we need to recognize that, recognize the quality of person that we're dealing with, recognize the fact that huge injustices have been heaped on him based on his race, and not just his race, but based on the race and of the people that he's supported. Remember, this started out with a sexual harassment complaint by a member of the LGBT community against a fellow officer. Paul West stood up for that person, and ever since they have gone after his job. So I thank you very much for coming out, and I thank those individuals who came and spoke. Thank you.